Hey, good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to Cage Side with Christopher James live right here on Fight Bananas, guys. Hey, welcome to the show. It's good to see you. So, as always, when I start the show, give me just a minute here to get all my posts out so we can share this out. All right, so we'll save that. We are live right here, live from Tampa, Florida tonight. As always, this is what we do. Thanks to Dave Van Auken and Dean Toole, the guys behind Fight Bananas, for bringing me on board with the Fight Bananas. Got my Game Bred Bare Knuckle shirt on. Looking damn good, I might add. Yep. There'll be an announcement soon coming up for Game Bred Bare Knuckle and when their next event does take place. We're excited about that. All right, let me just share this out to all the groups. Hey, what's up, Forrest? Good to see you. All right, share to all my groups. Amazing MMA community, MMA Fight Forum. Dun, 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 dun. I get lost sometimes when I share this out and I forget which groups I shared it to already. Oops. Excuse me. The hell was that? Noise going on in my studio or my house, so that's a little weird. All right, so it's shared out to all the groups. Welcome one, welcome all. Good to see you. First up, before we get started into the show tonight, I have three guests: Manny Correa, Damon Martin from MMA Fighting. I've got Manny Correa. He's boxing Devin Cushing on July 6th on the Jorge Masvidal Diaz card from Anaheim, California. So we're going to talk with Manny. Then we're going to talk with journalist from MMA Fighting, Damon Martin. He is absolutely awesome. One of my favorite guys to follow. We like him a lot, so we're going to chat with him. And then we're supposed to have Luis Antonio Pena, a.k.a. Violent Bob Ross. Now, I don't know if he's going to make it to the show. He just messaged me a moment ago, said he had a family emergency. So we will see if he makes it. What's up, Anthony C. Cruz? I would like to shout out, before I shout anybody out, I just want to send my condolences to Roy Jones Jr. He shared earlier today that his son, here, I'll just read it to you right from his post, from Roy Jones Jr. Unfortunately, my son DeAndre took his life on Saturday. I'm so thankful that God allowed me to come home Friday night to spend the last night of his life with me and my family. I know a lot of people are going through tough times right now, but nothing is worth taking your own life. God gives it, and God should be the one to take it away. Please respect our privacy while my family and I process this loss. Thank you for the love and support. Yeah. It's really rough losing a child. Parents aren't supposed to bury their children. So when I saw the news today, and I had heard some rumblings about some stuff going on up in Pensacola, I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew it was serious. And then I heard this today when Roy shared it. My heart goes out to him. I've announced his name in a fight. I've worked for him. He's a super awesome guy. And from all of us here at Fight Bananas and Cage Side with Christopher James, we truly send our condolences, and we're keeping the Jones family in our prayers as they really try to get through this horrible, horrible situation. So, say a prayer for Roy and his family if you can, if it's not too much to ask. All the prayers help, put them out in the universe. And we definitely all appreciate that. In other news, I would like to, let me pull this up here. Congratulations going out to all the winners at the UFC this weekend. Congratulations to Paige Van Zandt signing up for Power Slap. She's done bare knuckle with BKFC. She's been in the UFC. She's done boxing. So why not secure another bag? Go, girl. I don't get Power Slap. I probably never will. But I'm not going to hate on this girl for securing the bag and continuing to grow her brand. Also want to shout out Impa Kasanganai, getting a second round TKO at PFL MMA over the weekend. That was awesome. I would like to shout out to Tony Soto from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago. Told us he had a title fight booked, and they announced it at the BKFC event this past weekend at BKFC 62. Tony Soto's taking on Tenaglia. I don't know his first name. Apparently, he's the BKFC European champion. So they're going to fight October 12th in Spain, which is awesome. I would like to shout out to Kai Stewart retaining his belt. What an awesome performance by that kid. He went in there and did exactly what he said he was going to do and won the fight. I'd like to shout out Alberto Blas. He took care of Keith Richardson. It was a crazy fight. There were 3 knockdowns in the fight. Keith Richardson got knocked down the first time, got right back up, tried to play it off like nothing happened, took the standing 8 count. Second knockdown occurred in the first round, and he immediately went to grappling position. You know, Keith is a former MMA fighter. So he started grappling and grabbing at the ankles of the ref and his opponent, Alberto Blas. At that point right there, in my opinion, he was out of it. The fight should have been stopped. The referee allowed it to continue. And the third knockdown comes, and it was kind of a knockdown on his feet. It was really strange. Sam Burgos was the referee, and he stopped the fight, and then Keith Richardson proceeded to go after the referee. So that was a little strange. I wish the best to Keith. Keith is an awesome guy. He's a former Marine. So once a Marine, always a Marine. God bless him for what he's done for our country, and hope to see him back soon. He posted he's fine. I also want to shout out Jared Warren. He's the new light heavyweight champion at BKFC. So that's some BKFC stuff. In other BKFC news, I saw a post the other day from Mike the Marine Richmond talking about Lorenzo Hunt being suspended by the California State Athletic Commission. He was. I did not know about it at the time. And it was very hush-hush. There wasn't a lot of publicity about it. But it turns out that he popped dirty. I'm pulling it up right now. Here it is. He popped dirty. Let me read it to you right here. Trenbolone and elevated testosterone. Trenbolone is a nasty steroid. It's used on livestock to increase muscle growth and appetite, and he was loaded. Today it was an article by Damon Martin, who's going to be joining us on the show in just a little bit. The suspension is 18 months, $40,000 fine. Hunt could have contested all of this, requested other samples to be tested, and paid for that himself out of pocket. And there was a hearing earlier this month that Hunt or his attorneys did not attend, did not stand there to stand his case. So California has spoken. It makes you wonder if this is the first time he's been dirty, if he's been doing this his whole career. And I like Lorenzo. He's always been cool to me. But the news is the news, and we got to get out there. When I shared about this, because as soon as I saw it from Mike Richmond, I shared about it. I went to the California State Athletic Commission site and I found the letters addressed to Lorenzo Hunt. They're on my page here, so you can check them out. And from Mick Terrell, his opponent at Knucklemania 4, where the dirty test was discovered, Mick Terrell said, to be honest, I had a feeling. On weigh-in day, when he tried to take his dad in the test room with him, that got denied. Then you could really visibly see that he tried to sneak a bottle in his pants in with him. But then he realized the man watched you have a pee. He changed his mind. On the day of the fight, he got recalled to do another test. I'm sure it's because he failed the day before, and he ended up having to do an extra 2 tests on the day of the fight. So I had a feeling, but I was there to do a job and just had to get on with it. And Mick won the fight. So, crazy stuff right there. Haven't heard anything from BKFC about it. Don't know if we will. And it's not really on them. A fighter is a fighter, and a fighter does what he does. Yeah, Dave, you like that shirt? It's fire right there, right? Game bread. Bare knuckle. Dun dun dun. Paige makes me want to watch Power Slap. Forrest Daniel says he's going to watch Power Slap for the first time because of Paige Van Zandt. That is awesome. And like I said, Luis Antonio Pena might join us, might not. He had a family emergency. Don't know if he's going to make it. Let's see. Power Slap will become bigger and bigger the more they put actual real names in their like page. She's small fries compared to who else they could get. Imagine Zuck versus Musk in Power Slap. I'd rather not. I just don't see it. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Power Slap, but there are people out there that love it, that watch it, and they get down with it. It is what it is, right? But yeah, it's a little crazy. Let's see. I'm just sitting there thinking about Paige Van Zandt getting slapped in the face and not being able to do anything about it. She's taking on a Power Slap veteran. There's a sentence I never thought would come out of my mouth. Taking on a Power Slap. I don't even know the girl's name, but she's done it before. And I guess we'll see. It takes place on the 28th of this month, the day before UFC 303, which is a huge event coming up. So with that being said, it's time to bring in my first guest of the night. He's sitting there in the green room right now. I see him. He's got the chain on. He's looking good. Looks like he's feeling good. We're going to bring him in right now. On his Instagram, you can follow him at Bread to Box. That's BRED, the number 2, and Box. Bread to Box. His name, the one and only Manny Correa, joining us on the show for the first time. Manny, what's going on, brother?
Chilling, man. Chilling here. Happy to do this interview with you guys.
I'm happy to have you on board, brother. Happy to have you on board. First of all, before we get into your fight, with Devin coming up in July, I haven't had any boxer on the show since all this Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia stuff has popped off. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on Ryan Garcia popping and testing dirty? And I was talking about some stuff before the show in the beginning here, and I forgot to mention, now Devin Haney's team wants all the video footage taken down from DAZN of the fight because they want to act like it didn't happen. And in spite of him testing dirty and him coming in heavy, Ryan Garcia, that is, he beat the crap out of Devin Haney. I mean, let's just be real. We all saw it, that left hook was killing it. But, coming from the boxing world, what's your thoughts on all this mess?
I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of shadiness going on with all of that, man. The way they testing and the results for it. For example, what I lived through, I fought on DAZN also for Matchroom Boxing, and they tested me for PEDs, and I'm supposing my opponent, but they didn't show me like results if he's clean or not. So I guess they just keep it for if it benefits them to bring that out or not. If they fight or loses or not. But I got into that fight not knowing if he was clean or not. So it's a lot of flakiness that go on with that, man. So I'm sure Ryan was dirty, even if it was little trace amounts. But as far as him trying to get it down from the zone and all that other stuff, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, and that's Devin Haney. Brian Garcia, don't care if it stays up there. Obviously, he looked good in the fight. Haney and his father Bill are just
Yeah.
a couple of crazy characters, man. We did it. We do a show called Boxing Bananas here on Fight Bananas, and then we were talking about the other day, and it's just crazy the stuff that comes out of Bill Haney's mouth. For me, and he's doing more of the talking. Like you and Devin are fighting. I didn't hear your manager coming out and say anything. I didn't hear Devin's manager coming out and saying anything. You guys are doing the talking, and that's the way it should be. The guys that are fighting should be the ones doing the talking. Don't need to hear from your dad, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, your mother, your cousin. It's so crazy, and it happens all the time in boxing. It's not like that in MMA, but in boxing, it just seems to be the norm. And I'm glad that you speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you always do. I've seen some of your fights before. I don't follow as much boxing as I do MMA and bare knuckle fighting championship, but I do love boxing. I grew up watching boxing, so I've seen a few of your fights. And you do a really good job. You have all the tools to be a world champion. I've seen it from you. You're 13-1, and there's a reason you're 13-1 with 8 knockouts, because you put in the work. So you've got first.
Thank you.
How did this fight come up with you and Devin?
I mean, a close friend of mine named Juice offered me the fight. He's close friends with Masvidal and his team, and I guess they were looking for an opponent for a while and probably didn't find anybody to bite. And they know I bite, man. They know I'm not barking. So he hit me up, and I was like, for sure. And this was before I just realized recently I beat Devin's ass in the amateurs, man. And on my last Golden Gloves in the 2014 Golden Gloves, I actually eliminated him from the semifinals on the Golden Gloves. And so I didn't even remember that, because if I would have remembered that, I would have said it for sure in the press conference. But I went back and looked at some footage, and sure enough, I found a video of me. I think I gave him 2 8 counts in the fight. And then him and his dad came up to me after the fight, cool people, and they kept it respectful and all that. So, and he kept it respectful before the press conference too. And then when we went out there, he started blabbing off about, he knows what I brought you. I know what he brought me here for, this and that. And that's why I was like, all right, man, we gonna see, man. You're doing a lot of talking. We gonna see, but there's no pressure with him, man. I know it's part of the game. He got to try to sell the fight. But he gonna learn. He gonna learn the hard way, like I said. And I know he already know, because, like I said, he already fought me before. And this was when I was brand new into boxing, green as you can be. I ain't even know how to throw 1-2 yet. And now it's a whole different monster. Obviously he probably got better too, but he still don't look like he got no pop. I don't see no knockouts really dropping nobody or hurting anybody. And most of those guys he been in there with, none of them really was there to win. He ain't never been in there with a guy like me that's going to do whatever it takes to win. And he ain't fought the caliber of fighters that I fought yet. In my short career, I've been B-side already 3 times. I came up short 1 time, but it ain't nothing to me. I'm not scared to fight nobody, like I said in that interview. And I'm going to show him the work I've been putting in and what type of level fighter I am.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you're scared. And, I didn't know that you and Devin had danced before in the amateurs in the Golden Gloves. I would probably say, and I didn't see you back then, so I don't know what you were bringing to the ring at that time in your life. I've known Devin since 2016. So I've seen him kind of develop. You and him are both 2 really good young prospects in this game. He's 13-0, you're 13-1. So the record, it's a good quality matchup. And I think you guys, honestly, my opinion, I think you guys are going to steal the show on July 6th. There's something I felt when you guys faced off in California at that crazy press conference, which I want to talk to you about as well. I just felt the energy from you guys. It was totally cool to see, and like when Devin made a comment when he had the mic to himself, he said, a lot of people don't know my name now, but you will after this fight. You'll remember my name. I kind of feel that that statement is really something that both of you could say, because you're not super famous yet. You're growing your career. You know that already. And Devin is not super famous yet. He's growing his career. So I think whoever wins this fight, it's a big step for them. You know, you're on a big high profile card with Diaz and Masvidal. So tell us what what do you bring now that's different than when you fought Devin when you were kids?
Man, when I fought him back then, I went to that tournament without a trainer. I was trying to get back into boxing. I had probably like 10 fights at that time, and I was looking trying to get back, and I had stopped for 2 years, and I just went to the Golden Gloves, and I said I'm a winnie, and I went all the way to the semifinals. I feel like they robbed me. The videos on YouTube to Charles Vasquez. He was, I think, number 5 in the nation at that time. He went on to fight Teofimo Lopez and lose. But he remembers that more than more well than I do. He remembers my power for sure.
Right.
He remembers my power and my pressure, and he's gonna get more of that. He's gonna get more of that now, but he's gonna get a whole different fighter now in the sense that I've grown so much. My IQ in the ring has grown so much in these last couple of years, man. I've had great sparring, great training, and I'm just in my prime right now. I'm in my prime right now. And he'll find out, man. Everybody's gonna see that I'm a different caliber of fighter. All those other fighters he's faced, they've just come to lay down. They didn't even really come to fight. He's just walking them down and doing whatever. And he's still getting hit by those guys, and he's still not knocking them out flashy and putting them to sleep. You go look at my fights, you're gonna notice all my opponents are tough. Even if they got bad records, they were fighters that I'm not signed to none of these promoters or none of these managers, so the matchmakers, when they give me a fight, they get whoever they could find with whatever record. They don't care if the guy could fight or not. And a lot of my matchups have had bad negative records, but they've been great fighters who fight anybody anywhere, and they tough. And those type of fights or the fights have gotten me to where I'm at now, in the sense of I'm used to being in there with somebody who's a live dog. I'm not used to being in there with people like he has his fights, whatever fights he got on YouTube. I seen like 3 of them where these guys they don't even want to be there, man. They quitting in the corner. He walking them down. He's still getting hit by them and everything, and they not even live opponents, man. He's gonna notice what is in there to be with a real live opponent now.
Yeah, and in fairness, you're talking about you fought some guys with negative records. Devin, I pretty sure has fought some guys with negative records. This is part of boxing.
I can't hear you, brother. I think the signal going bad.
Can you hear me now?
Let me see if I can do something real quick.
Check. Did you freeze?
Could you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm gonna get back out and get back in and see if it fixed the issue.
Okay. He's going to click out and click back in. He was having some technical difficulties there. So we'll bring him back here in just a second. And, he was talking about fighting guys with negative records. I think that's part of boxing. Everybody does it on their way up. They fight live dogs, like you said, guys that have negative records, but that always bring a fight. I don't think there's one professional boxer out there that has ever fought all the top guys on their way to getting to the top. They never just fight the toughest opponents. It's a learning process, and when you're a boxer, you're looking to get rounds in. So when you get those fights, you go out there and you put in the work, and it might not be the flashiest stuff that you've ever seen, but for boxers, it's about getting rounds in. So that's why, you see guys fighting, somebody with a negative record. Don't shit on them because it's part of the process. You can hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, good.
Yeah, I can hear you. So I've never the difference between guys. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, the difference between me and most of these guys, and one day they'll know, man, when they go back and they look at my story and they research it, is I've never had really any help in my career. I've gotten to this point by myself, selling tickets, doing whatever I have to do, finding my own sponsor. So most of these opponents that I get, I obviously I gotta pay for them to come over here and pay for all their flight and all that other stuff. But at the same time, they are, these matchmakers, they probably even want to see me lose a lot of the time because, you know, they don't like that free agent stuff, man. They don't like the fact that you're doing it by yourself. So most of my matchups have been with guys with terrible records, and these guys is good fighters. Like, they could beat a lot of these young prospects coming up who see the record and think, oh, and they're gonna fight them and they're gonna find out. Man, you could go on YouTube and you could see, I mean, all the guys I fought, especially the MMA guys that I fought, they've been super tough as nails. You know what I mean? I fought a guy, I don't remember what his name is, Pablo Caballero. Dude was tough as nails, MMA dude. I fought another dude, I forget what his name is. I post a highlight there for him all the time. He was 1-6. You know, you see that record and you think he's ass, and then you get in there and you fight the dude, and the announcers will tell you in the fight, like, oh man, this guy's better than what his record, you know, show you. So at this point, I don't believe in records no more, but I do. I am grateful that those fights have made me tougher, because those, all my fights, I had to dig deep and get the dub.
Yeah, and that's part of the process, you know. So you know, and I think the guy you were talking about was 1-6 was Salon Staley. It says here on BoxRec, and his record was 1-6 when you guys fought. You beat him with the TKO, but you know, and when you say don't always look at the record, I agree with you 100%, because there are some guys where their records are upside down, but they're live dogs, like you said. They come in and they bust ass and they work hard, and they're the B side. And most of them know, you know, that they're there as the B side, and they're coming in to, you know, do work with you or with Devin or somebody that, you know, growing their career. You know, like you're 13-1. So some of the guys you fought on your way up, they're there to help you get those rounds and to get the practice. And because with boxing, it's about getting rounds in, getting those rounds, working your stuff, learning your jab, learning when to throw your jab, perfecting your footwork, and getting in and out. So, and like I said, it's part of boxing. You know, everybody does it. You know, Floyd Mayweather did it. They all do it. You know, I mean, Ryan Garcia, Haney, you know, Lomo. I mean, everybody. So it's just part of boxing. So I respect it. You know, it's a hard thing to do, and it's so hard for a boxer versus an MMA fighter. For you as a boxer to get to the top levels, you know, you have to be like 22-1 to get mentioned for a regional level title, you know, where you could be 7-0 in MMA and you're fighting in the UFC. So the path to the top of your profession is so much harder, so much more daunting than an MMA fighter, you know? And I feel for you guys, because that sucks, you know? If you're 10-0, give them a big fucking fight. Did you get all that? You're still hearing me? All right, cool.
That's facts.
So,
that's facts. Well, Frank Martin just fought Javante 8. Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yep. So tell me, your thoughts on the press conference in California when everything broke out on Masvidal and Diaz's team, because you were in one end of the front row. Devin Cushing was in the other end. I saw him in one of the videos, but I didn't see you. And I was like, I wonder where the hell Manny Correa went to, you know, because that was so much chaos.
I was right there in the cut in the corner, man. I'm used to that type of stuff. I come from an environment where all that happens at any moment. So I was right at home. I was actually taking pictures with the fans. My boy that I brought out there with me, he was laughing because he was like, man, I wish I'd have recorded this, because you was taking pictures with the fans while everything is going on. And I was like, yeah, man. That happens all the time. That happens all the time where I'm from, and you got to just stay calm and keep you calm, you know, and stay alert. But I mean, that don't have nothing to do with me at the end of the day. So I was in the corner, man, the cut.
Yeah, did you? But I mean, you know, you don't always see these big brawls break out like this at boxing press conferences. You see some. This one was crazy. I mean, you know, Diaz's team was coming forward. It was just nuts, and I was watching it all unfold. You know, and the funniest part about the whole thing, there was a woman. I guess that's with the Fanmio, the promotion that's, you know, streaming it. I don't know if it's who she works for, but she kept getting on the microphone going, everybody sit down, you know, and once a fight breaks out, there ain't nobody sitting down. Nobody's turning off their cameras. She's like, we need our cameras to see. And all you see is everybody like this, like, you know, all over the place. it was so crazy, and it broke off so fast. And Diaz George walked away with no damage, but one of Diaz's guys got fucked up.
Yeah. George got good reflexes. I seen him block like at least 2 chairs, man. They threw 2 wooden chairs. I seen him block 2 chairs, so he got some good reflexes, man. He got some good street knowledge because he pulled Buddy out the circle. Buddy was in the circle. If he would have stayed right there and fought him 1-on-1, they probably would have jumped him, probably beat him. But he grabbed Buddy by the hair that hit his coach and pulled him out of there and handled business. But yeah, it was pretty wild. There was kids and women around and stuff like that, so it was a little bit, hectic. But yeah, it got crazy. It got carried into the hotel too. But that's what comes with these games, man. With
that's it.
Fighting and shit.
And you just brought up something that I didn't even know because I didn't see any videos.
Again,
I didn't know the chairs came in.
I don't know why it's doing that. It's happy because it's dumbass alarm, man. Oh, can you hear me?
He's got yeah, I can hear you.
There we go. All right. I don't know why it keeps doing that.
It happens sometimes, man. It's no big deal. Technology is crazy. But I didn't know chairs got thrown, so you just told me something I didn't even see in the videos.
Yeah, chairs got thrown, man. It got crazy.
Fucking bonkers, dude. So, you're a boxer. This is what you chose to do with your life. You want to be a top world pro. You probably want to be a world champion. I'm guessing that's why you're in this game. What do you think when they announce a fight like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson? Do you think that helps or hurts the sport of boxing?
Yeah, it depends who you ask. It's helping Mike Tyson's pockets and his family and all the people that his coaches and everybody that's with him. But I feel like it kind of hurts boxing a little bit because it kind of stains his legacy a little bit. He's a little bit too old, man, to be fighting. And let's say if Mike Perry knocks him out, that's not gonna be a good look for him, as old as he is. But I ain't hating on the next man getting money. I hope he gets his money and whatever. But I mean, I feel like Jay got to start picking better opponents. That's for sure. I like the Mike Perry fight better than that.
I really like the Mike Perry fight, and I like that it's here in Tampa. He's fighting somebody that's in his prime, undefeated at bare knuckle fighting. And Mike is not going to back down. Mike is not going to lay down. Mike is coming to kick this guy's ass. I was so excited for Mike Perry. I'm good friends with Mike. So I was happy that he got this because he's going to get to secure a big bag. He'll get his upfront purse. He's going to get a piece of the pay-per-view from what I understand. So he's making, more life-changing money to take care of his family. And that's awesome. Speaking of bare knuckle, would you do bare knuckle?
Man, I actually been signed to BKFC for almost 2 years already, man. And just because, politics, man. Politics and certain people who run BKFC here for South Florida that are just some haters and shit like that, man. They haven't put me on, but I feel like I'll take over that whole BKFC shit, man. I'll be honest with you. My style, as much as I come forward and the power punches I do in my cardio for 2-minute rounds, that shit gonna be a walk in the park, man. I feel like I'm all the way up to the 145s, man. Ain't nobody fucking with me in that shit. But just because, like I said, politics and shit like that haven't allowed that to happen. But I've been signed to BKFC for almost a year and a half, 2 years already, man.
I didn't even know that about you, that you were signed to BKFC.
They actually offered me one fight for $20,000 with the bantamweight champion that was just Indio. I know him. He's actually a good guy. The one that fought this weekend. And him or his team or whoever turned it down, and that's it. That's where I stayed at, But so they pretty much offered me a B-side fight, when all these other guys, they giving them A-side fights with bums and shit like that. And I took it, and he turned it down, him, his team, whoever. And that's it. That's all it's said and done. That's all I've heard from BKFC.
You're down in Miami. Did you go to the BKFC show this weekend?
Nah. I don't go watch people who I don't think better than me, man. Nah, if I go watch somebody, they got to be.
Have you ever been to a bare knuckle event?
Yeah, I've been to when my friends have fought and shit like that. Close friends of mine have fought, and I've gone support them and shit.
It's a lot of fun, man. There's a real good energy in the building. The fans love it. It's so just pure combat. No gloves, no nothing. It's just two men or two women, just knucks up. Let's go. I would love to see you at bare knuckle. I mean, if I'm being honest, based on what I've seen in your career and some of the fights I've seen, some of the punches you've thrown, I think you fit the mold of what it could be a true bare knuckle champion.
For sure. That's the same way I feel about it, man. I feel like it would be, I would blow up probably quicker than boxing. You know what I mean? Probably way quicker than boxing. But that sport is getting it's a huge platform and it's getting a lot of looks and views right now. So it would have been good for me. That's why I did it. My heart is still in boxing. I feel like boxing is the most beautiful sport in the world. But I would have done it just to help boost my career a little bit and make a little bit of money on the side. Boxing ain't really paying unless you take B-side fights like this, like I'm taking.
Well, you got to, and like we said, beginning earlier in the interview, you got to take these fights. You got to just continue to take fights, that you may not want to take, but in order to grow your record and to grow your brand, it's the only way boxing works. I wish it would change because it's so old school. And like you said, the politics and every promoter, and you got to get on board with this promoter and that promoter and that promoter, and then you got to fight for this belt. But this organization doesn't want to sanction it, and they don't want to put their belt on the line. It's so much drama. I hope the Saudi Arabian guys that are talking about buying all the boxing shows do it because it'll level the playing field.
Yeah, for real, man.
It's crazy, man. But I'm glad.
Look at Matchroom 2 years ago. They got all the medical work, man. They got the medical paperwork from after the fight. I fought an Olympian that nobody wanted to fight for a long time, and I had my nose broken in the first round, and I broke my wrist in that fight. They got all the paperwork. They had to, pay for everything. They left me with a broken nose and a broken wrist. I wasn't able to see a specialist or nothing like that. My nose is still broken to this day. I got a deviated septum from that. And my wrist is still, I got therapy and shit that I get on my own. But they didn't send me to no specialist or none of like the insurance didn't cover nothing for me over here. So I went over there and fought and took an L thinking that's gonna help me and boost and they would at least see my heart and have some integrity and bring me back. They haven't brought me back, so they just use you and toss you to the side, so and they was begging me to take that fight. They were saying, "Oh, we can't believe. Oh, we're so happy to take this fight. And nobody want." And then this is how the game go, man. You got to learn the game. It's a dirty game, and it's a process, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, and that's the dirty side of the. I like you. I love the sport of boxing. I hate the business of boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just
that's a good way to say
it. I think it's the best way to say it. You guys, all boxers, you go out there and you put on a show. You put your heart and soul into it. And like I said, you take all these amateur fights just to get your first pro fight, and then you finally get your first pro fight, and you have to continue to build and build and build, and be, like I said, 15 to 20 fights in before you can even get mentioned at some regional level, small show title. And, by that time, you've put in so much work, you should be somewhere else based on the work you've already done. And I don't like the way boxing does it. I don't like the business model for it at all. And I feel right here in my heart for all the boxers out there like you and Devin and all the young kids coming up, what you guys are going to have to go through to achieve greatness. It sucks. Just sucks. So July 6th, it's Devin Cushing versus Manny Correa. On the Diaz and Masvidal card, going to be streaming on Fanmio. You guys can go to Fanmio, Fanmio, and buy the pay-per-view now. There's a discount on it. I don't remember the discount, but if you buy it now, there's a discount on it versus buying it the day of the show. So go out there and buy this thing. If you're in Anaheim and you haven't gotten tickets yet, go get tickets. Support these guys like Manny and Devin and Nate and Jorge and all the other guys on the card. It's going to be an incredible card. It's going to be live. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for it. My buddy David Van Auken is going to be out there. He'll probably be doing some interviews with you guys. Now, before I let you go, there's something I do on the show with everybody that comes on. It's a little fun. Sometimes it makes people feel uncomfortable. And I hope you don't say no, because I haven't had a no yet. And I've had over 350 guests on my show. So, and it doesn't have to be a long time. But I always ask every guest on the show, the first time only on the show, by the way, to sing for us or rap. Doesn't have to be a whole song. Doesn't have to be a long song. Just give us a little something to throw you out your comfort zone.
A rap? Man.
Yeah, you could sing or rap. Just give me a little something.
I know so many rap songs when you put me on the spot right now. It's throwing me completely off. Man, let me see.
That's why I do it, man. It's a little fun outside the box.
Shit. I don't even know what I could sing right now, bro.
What's your walkout song?
Oh, shit, man. See, I always come out with my cousin's a rapper here from Miami, man. So I always come out with his songs. And he got so many, man. I just choose different ones. But shit, what song would I like right now? You know. You got me there, man. You got me there. You put me on the spot. I don't even know what song to sing. That's crazy. I listen to so much rap.
You gotta give me a little something, 10, 15 seconds.
All right. I'm gonna give you some Tupac, man.
All right.
Dear mom, don't you know you are appreciated? Dear mama. That's it. That's all I got, man.
That's good enough, man.
I'm not a rapper. I'm not a rapper.
Hey, I'm not a rapper either. I'm an old Jewish guy from New York, man. I can't rap worth of shit either.
Let me hear 10 seconds from you. You got good 10 seconds. Let me hear yours. Bet you never heard that.
You want to hear me? You want to hear me rap, or you want to hear me sing?
Yeah, I want to hear.
All right, I'm going to give it to you right now. You'd rather hear me rap? Oh, man, I don't know if I got anything I can rap at you. I can't. I just can't. I'll tell you what I'll do, though. I'll come up with a rap, and I'll post it on my social media later, and I'll do it just for you, man. I'll tag you in the video.
All right, that sounds good. You. Well, I'll do one back. For you.
All right, cool. We'll do a rap battle via the internet. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time with us tonight, man. I'm looking forward to your fight with Devin Cushing, July 6th, on the Masvidal and Diaz card. Like I said, I think you guys are going to steal the show. Before you jump out, you want to give everybody your social media just so they know how to keep up with you?
Yeah, my social media is Bread the Box on Instagram, BRED. The number 2 BOX, and that's it. Follow your boy, man, so you can see.
All right, well, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Good luck in California. We'll be watching, man, and thanks for joining us tonight, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, my brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
All right, peace. Boys and girls, that was Manny Correa joining us from Miami. He's fighting Devin Cushing on the Masvidal Diaz card. It's going to be an awesome card. If you don't got it yet, if you haven't purchased it, go to fanmio.com and get the card now so you can save a little cheddar. We're going to jump right into my next guest because I got to get him in and out as quick as possible because he's got stuff to do tonight, and I really appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule. He is one of my favorite journalists to follow in MMA, and he has been for a long time. Super knowledgeable, credible, and a lot of integrity, and that's what I look for in my guys that I follow. So we're going to bring him in right now. Damon Martin joining us on Cage Side with Christopher James. Damon, what's up, brother?
How are you?
I'm living the dream, brother. Just chilling out and having a good day, man. How about you?
Not too bad, man. Getting ready for a busy UFC 303 fight week, as I'm sure everybody is.
Oh, it's crazy, man. So many changes. I mean, everybody said so many changes to the card, but there wasn't as many as people make it out to be. There was a couple big changes, of course, because Conor's not fighting. But I like the way the card shook out. You always got to give the UFC credit. They can, spin the card on a dime, and they're able to just make it happen. And Pereira might be the biggest star they got on their hands right now.
Yeah, I would argue, listen, it's not a bigger card because you can't get bigger than Conor McGregor. We all know that. Like, that would be fooling ourselves if we said it was bigger. But I would argue this is actually a better card now because while I'm not, I'm never super excited about guys taking fights on short notice, especially important fights like title fights. Pereira and Prohashka is an incredible fight. I loved the Brian Ortega Diego Lopez match. That's a phenomenal bit of matchmaking. I'm bummed we lost Carlos Olberg, but Roman Dolidze's game and Anthony Smith is always going to be fun to watch. And then Ian Machado Gary and Michael Venom Page is a lot of fun. So I think those 4 fights, top to bottom, are slightly better than what we were getting before. Again, not bigger because it's Conor. You're not going to get bigger than Conor. But in terms of overall quality of card, I think we actually have a slightly better card now.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. Top to bottom, I think the card rounded out a lot better. Again, like you said, it's not bigger because it's not Conor. What were your thoughts on seeing Conor in Bellator this weekend, running around, and doing his thing? And it almost makes me feel like his foot ain't hurt as bad. He's wearing slippers. But I was watching. I was going, this guy could fucking fight. Come on, man.
It's a weird one. Here's the thing with Conor, and I like Conor very much. I've always liked Conor, and Conor's never been anything but kind to me in the interactions we've had and interviews and talks we've had privately through messages and things like that. So I actually really like Conor. Here's where it's coming back to bite Conor right now. I'm fine with him not fighting. I'm totally fine with him not fighting because of a broken toe. I don't like to question when fighters drop out of fights for injuries, no matter how big or severe, because you and I have both been around the sport long enough to know that the worst side a fighter can do is to fight with an injury and then make an excuse afterwards and say, oh, well, I had a broken toe, I had a broken rib, I had this, I had that. Then it just sounds like excuses. So that's worse. Where it's coming back to bite Conor right now is all the evidence out there of guys he gave crap to who dropped out of fights for similar instances, most particularly Rafael dos Anjos. When they were going to fight in 2016, there's literally a tweet where he said, we live in an age where guys are canceling cards for a pinky toe or for a broken toe or something to that effect. And I'm like, that's a bad look when here you are, 8 years later, you're dropping out of a fight due to a broken toe. So I don't have a problem with him dropping out. I certainly don't have a problem with anyone dropping out with a legitimate injury and a broken toe, while it may seem minor to most. And yes, Alex Pereira is fighting with 2 broken toes this weekend. I never question a fighter dropping out due to injury. But the other side of it is that Conor is kind of set himself up for disaster by giving other fighters a hard time for dropping out of fights due to injuries, questioning the legitimacy of their injuries, questioning their manhood, so to speak. And now here he is with a broken toe saying, I needed to drop out of this fight. That's where I think he's getting a lot of pushback right now.
Yeah, because the internet never fucking forgets. It just don't, And I saw, plenty of people reposting this tweet with RDA's foot, swelled up like a balloon and next to his little pinky toe with the bruise on it. It's funny, but even that, this fight's still going to sell when they do it. What's your thoughts on Michael Chandler? Should he continue to wait, or should he try to get another fight in while he's waiting? Because, Dana White said it, until he knows that he's healed up, he doesn't even want to talk about Conor right now. And he said he's not going to make another card because they're already booked out through the rest of the year. So should Chandler fight, or should he just sit and wait for this red panty night?
So when the news first dropped that Conor was getting injured, we did a reaction podcast on MMA fighting. At that point, we had no idea what the injury was. Was it a rib? Was it a leg? Was it an arm? We had no idea. And we all kind of agreed that Chandler should give it till the end of the year. That's 6 months, because unless the UFC adds another card, which sounds like they're not going to do, if you look at the schedule, the only real date that Conor could come back and fight on, and Chandler for that matter, would be December, because we've got July is Manchester, that's booked. August is Perth, Australia, that's booked. September is the Sphere. While that could be a possibility, I think it's still too soon. I mean, if Dana's basically saying we're not even going to talk about it till he's healed, and it's going to take him several weeks to get healed. And plus, I think the Sphere is being set up for something different. I don't think they want to do Conor on that card. I'm hearing rumors of Max Holloway, Ilya Topuria on that card. Obviously, I think we're going to get Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. They're doing Mexican Independence Day. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for Conor to land there. October's in Abu Dhabi. That's highly doubtful. That's probably going to be Islam Makhachev and Arman Sarukian. November, we know, is probably going to be John Jones and Stipe. And while I know Conor is a massive star, I know John Jones is not going to play second fiddle to Conor in a non-title fight defending the heavyweight title. So then you're looking at December. So that's kind of the date I think we're looking at for Conor to come back. And I think for Chandler, December 31st is the cutoff. You get a date, you get a location, you get that contract. Conor, you're fighting him the last card of the year in December. You stick around for that. If that gets canceled, or Conor doesn't come to an agreement, or he's still injured, or whatever else may be, you got to move on. I think Chandler's 37 now.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. Wait, what Connor said, as condescending as it was, what Connor said is not wrong. Like, you're not going to make as much money in 2 or 3 fights as you will in Connor. Also, I like Connor. I think Connor's a very good fighter, but Connor now in 2024 at 35, 36 years old is not the Connor who knocked out Eddie Alvarez 8 years ago. Is Chandler going to fight Mateusz Gamrot, an animal like Mateusz Gamrot? Is he going to fight, Jalen Turner? Is he going to fight, one of those guys? I mean, is that going to come anywhere? It's not going to come anywhere close to that. Is he going to rematch Gaethje and do that? Like, none of that would really make sense for him. So December 31st, if you don't have the fight by then at that point, you have no choice but to move on, because then you're basically just saying, I'm going to give away my career hoping that I get this Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah, and and Chandler, like you said, he's getting older. He's not, he's running out of time as well. It's definitely time for him to, make a decision. And I agree with you. I felt, in my opinion, I think he should take a fight if they offer him one before the end of the year. But I understand, that payday sitting there, he's salivating over, and he's waited so long, and he put up with all the crap dealing with Conor in the house for tough. And I want to see him get the fight. It's
a winnable fight. I mean, I think that's the key too. And not to say that Chandler can't beat the Mateusz Gamrots of the world and guys like the Beneil Dariush, whoever he'd end up getting. I think he's very capable of winning those fights. But Connor's a very winnable fight. And so not only is it a winnable fight, but it's also a massive payday. So you get a huge, ginormous payday, and you get a fight where I think he's got a really good shot of winning. So again, I think it's that risk versus reward. Do you risk fighting a Mateusz Gamrot, a guy you can beat, but it's going to headline a fight night card? Or are you going to wait till December and get a pay-per-view, get pay-per-view points, get millions upon millions of dollars? You got 2 kids and a wife to provide for. I get it. I do. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's life-changing money when you fight Conor at this point in his career. It will be the biggest comeback. And they showed the gate. I wonder how many people have asked for refunds from this card. But the gate, was $20 million, biggest gate they've ever done. And it happened like that. Don't know if the gate's still going to be at $20 million. The UFC will probably never tell us. So we just have to, go on with it. But yeah, there's too much money on the table for him. So I agree, you make a valid point that wait out to the end of the year. And then if not, you got to take a fight, even if it's just, any fight, just get a fight, get a payday, just so you don't get stale and rusty, sitting on the shelf. You put out an article today. Or you shared an article today, and I want to commend you for being one of the guys. You and Ariel both have really jumped on board covering bare knuckle. You posted an article today. I shared about this a couple of days ago because I had, up until like 2 days ago, I hadn't heard about it, about Lorenzo Hunt testing dirty, and I only knew about it because Mike Richmond, BKFC fighter, posted about it because he was pissed because he got screwed over by the California State Athletic Commission in like 2015 or 16, got suspended for 2 years. And then he found out that Lorenzo was only going to be suspended for 9 months. So I dug in, I went to the website, found the letter they sent to him. And you shared today that the decision has been made. He's suspended for 18 months, $40,000 fine, because he didn't show up at the hearing. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that? Because here's a guy who was, a double champion. And it makes you question now, was he popping, was he pissing, was he doing this stuff all the way along? I don't know if you were listening at the beginning of the show. His opponent, Mick Terrell, who he fought at Knucklemania 4, posted on my post. I'll just read you what he said real quick, and then you can give me your take. He said, to be honest, I had a feeling. On weigh-in day when he tried to make his dad, or take his dad into the testing room with him, and it got denied, you could visibly see that he tried to sneak a bottle in his pants with him, but when he realized the man was going to watch you pee, he changed his mind. On the day of the fight, he got recalled to do another test, and he said, I'm sure it's because he failed the day before and ended up having to do an extra 2 tests on the day of the fight. So I had a feeling, but I was there to do a job and just had to get on with it. Trying to take your dad to go pee with you, there's too much stuff pointing to him being guilty, and maybe that's why he didn't show up at the hearing. What's your take on it?
So from my understanding, when I spoke to the commission and got all the information today that we released in the story, so basically the commission, when they filed the notification that he had tested positive for steroids, it's an anabolic steroid, and elevated levels of testosterone, which if you saw the number, the normal ratio is 4. He was at 172. So you can only imagine like where that's coming from. Long story short, they filed the notification, and Lorenzo had apparently filed an appeal. He was going to go make an appearance at the hearing and state his case, which is usually when guys try to get a reduced sentence or try to explain what happened. And it can work, generally making your appeal. He didn't show up to the appeal. The appeal was June 10th. He didn't show up. And so the max recommendation was 18 months suspension and a $40,000 fine, $500 for the drug test, and he has to do 6 drug tests of his own pay. He has to pay out of his own pocket before he can fight in California again. Now, let's be honest, Lorenzo will probably just never fight in California again. He's 41. 18 months from now, he'll probably be 42, 43. He's probably never fighting in California again. So we can kind of throw the drug testing part of it out, but 18 months is 18 months. Every other commission will honor that. And BKFC, right, they're a stand-up organization. Dave Feldman, great people over there. They're not going to put Lorenzo Hunt on a card and thumb their nose at a commission that just sanctioned them. They're not going to do that. So
they can't.
So effectively, Lorenzo Hunt is done for fighting for the next 18 months. And again, he's not a young guy. So it's really, I mean, I get it why guys do it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying I get why guys do it, try to gain an advantage. And in Lorenzo's case, I think he was trying to go for that heavyweight title, which never really made a lot of sense to me. When I saw him standing next to Mick Terrell, I was like, man, he is really undersized for this fight. Like, Mick looks so much bigger than him because Lorenzo's big and jacked. But again, that doesn't matter when you're facing a 6-foot-something heavyweight who's a legit heavyweight. Like, you can be jacked out of your mind. Doesn't mean you're going to be standing up next to a heavyweight. So that's my opinion. I've not talked to Lorenzo. I like Lorenzo. When I've talked to him, he's always been a very nice guy to me whenever we've done interviews. But
same here.
That's my opinion. Like, he realized, like, hey, I'm going to be way undersized for this. I need to put on some bulk, put on some size. And I don't know a faster way you're going to put on size than, putting a needle in your butt. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. And I don't want to say this is a career ender, but 18 months, he's already 41. I mean, not saying, listen, Luis Palomino has looked better than ever up until he fought Austin Trout. He looked better than ever, and he's obviously well into his 40s too. But again, we know that's typically when you start seeing guys walk away from the sport. At 42, 43, 18 months from now, is he still going to want to fight? Is BKFC still going to want to promote him? I don't know.
Yeah, coming off a drug suspension, it's going to make them think, do they put him back in? Do they not? You brought up something that I agree with. Lorenzo's always been kind to me, whenever I want an interview and everything. I find myself sometimes when guys are cool to me and they do interviews with me, I find myself sometimes torn having to share the news of something like this. Do you go through that as well?
Yeah, it's tough. I remember, just to give you a personal situation years ago, and a guy who I just had so much admiration for, and a guy I liked very, very much, by the name of Anthony Rumble Johnson, who of course sadly passed away.
One of my good friends.
I had covered his career. The relationship I share with him is, I didn't call him Anthony. I didn't call him Rumble. I called him AJ. That was what I like. That's how friendly we were. I called him AJ. We see each other at shows. He come and give me a hug, like, yet again, and still, professionally, I still cover his career. But at one point, he got arrested, and I had to report on the arrest. And he kind of got bummed out. He called me and he's like, why didn't you get my side of the story? I said, it's not about your side of the story. It's just, I'm reporting the facts of the arrest. Now, if you want to give me your side of the story, I'll certainly get it out there. And a similar situation happened years later with Isaac Valley Flag. He had gotten arrested in New Mexico, and I did a story. And Cub Swanson messaged me, and he was irate with me about it. He was just like, how could you do this? Like, Isaac's a great guy, blah, blah, blah. And Isaac, when cooler heads eventually prevailed, Isaac took up for me and told Cub, he's like, dude, he didn't do anything. I'm the one who got arrested. It's not his fault. And I actually ended up doing a really long story on Isaac of like him getting his life back together and going to rehab and everything he did. And Isaac is one of my favorite people in the sport. I don't do anything maliciously. I never report on anything trying to get over on anybody, but that's my job. And Isaac had the best perspective, and Cub and I are very cool now. Like, Cub's a great guy. I talk to Cub, regularly on Twitter, text, whatever. But he was defending his friend. He was upset because his friend and it was a real dark period in Isaac's career. He was going through drug addiction. It was a bad spot. I wasn't looking to highlight it. I wasn't certainly looking to dance on the guy when he was down at his lowest. So I understood where Cub was coming from. But Isaac's the one who took up for him and said, dude, he did nothing wrong. I was the one who got arrested for being an idiot. Like, I got arrested for taking drugs and trying to break into a place and doing stupid stuff. Like, don't get mad at him because I did this. So, but we're all good now. And again, yeah, it's hard because you cover these guys, you can't help not to care for them in some form or fashion. But again, that's the job. I don't hold any ill will towards Lorenzo Hunt, but he did what he did. I can't not, I can't hide that from the public. If I don't do it, somebody else will.
Right. And you guys, I mean, you're the only one that really has posted anything about it other than my social media posts about it. Not one other fight outlet has posted about it. And I found that to be bizarre that it was swept under the rug on such a huge BKFC event at Knucklemania 4, because we know California doesn't play around with this stuff, with drug testing and weight cutting and all that stuff. So I was happy to see you report on it. Not necessarily happy to see Lorenzo in trouble. And you said Anthony, Anthony, when he got arrested, the last time he got arrested, I reached out to him because I think I had seen your story or somebody else's. And I asked him, I said, what's going on? And I was getting ready to run an article on my website, KHR Christopher James, which is defunct right now because I'm just doing video stuff. And he asked me, he goes, hey, you're my friend. Can you do me a favor or not? Because everybody else already jumped on the story. And I said, you know what? He asked me a favor. So I decided just leave it alone. And, he kept me abreast of the situation as it unfolded and, the results of the case and everything. But it's tough sometimes, that's one of the things. And I'm a ring announcer. So, there's a lot of these guys that I meet, as they're coming up in their careers and they're making their way to the top, and then I develop a friendship. And then something bad happens and I have to talk about it on my show. And I'm like, it hurts my heart a little bit. So I get conflicted sometimes, but, I mean,
it's happened recently with Cain Velasquez. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I'm super close with Cain. I've known Cain for many years, covered Cain, talked to Cain. Like, I've always had a really good relationship with Cain, but I am very close to a lot of people around him. Like Daniel Cormier is one of the people I'm closest to in this sport. I did his first ever interview when he was decided to do MMA from wrestling. I was the first guy to ever interview him. And wow. I talked to DC constantly. We text and I talk to DC all the time, just off, just off camera, just, BSing through text message and stuff. And I've been the lead reporter, covering Cain's entire case. I've gone on, I've gone on crime podcasts and crime coverage shows talking about it. Because it's impossible not to. And because DC's been in that side of the business, because he does what we do now, he understands it. You have to talk about it. And it is heartbreaking. And I feel for him. And I certainly feel for his family. But again, that's the job. I certainly don't do it maliciously. And I'll give my opinion if someone asks me. But, when I'm reporting the facts, I'm reporting the facts. I'm not trying to put injecture. I'm not trying to put opinion. I'm not trying to make anyone feel good or bad about a situation. I'm just telling you what it is and what's happening. And yeah, it's tough, man. Like I said, it sucks. And my heart breaks for Cain's family, what happened to them and what happened to his son. But I can't ignore that, he got arrested and charged with premeditated attempted murder. I can't say that didn't happen because it did.
Yep. When we all know it. So, and I totally understand why he did what he did. So, I my opinion is I can't crap on the guy. Cause if somebody did something to my kid, I don't know what the hell I would do in retribution. If you attack my family, I'm coming for you. That's just it. That's bred inside me. That's our natural reaction. And, do I wish he handled it differently? Absolutely. Am I glad that nobody actually got killed? 100%, because I don't think he's going to get convicted in California. The case has gotten too much publicity, and I think the whatever jury he finally gets sat, they're all going to, give him his due, and he'll get acquitted. So, we'll just leave it at that because I don't want to jump into that rabbit hole because we could do that all day. Real quick before I let you go, I know you said you had a limited amount of time tonight. Mike Tyson's supposed to fight Jake Paul. That fight fell out because Mike is injured. We get Mike Tyson or we get Mike Perry versus Jake Paul, a fight that I absolutely love. Give us your take on that.
So it's funny. My podcast that I do with UFC welterweight, retired UFC welterweight Matt Brown. When Mike was the backup, I believe.
Oh, let me interrupt for 1 second, guys. If you want to see his podcast, it's the Fighter versus the Writer. It's absolutely awesome. They get the great conversations. You can definitely check it out. I just wanted to plug you right there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We were talking about this. I want to say when Mike was the backup for the Tommy Fury fight, because he backed up Logan Paul once too, but I think it was the Tommy Fury fight. And Matt had a very funny line. He said he better pray to God that Tommy Fury doesn't fall in this fight because he does not want to fight a savage like Mike Perry. Now, Do I think Jake can win this fight? Absolutely, Jake can win this fight. I don't think Jake is a world-class boxer, but he's not a terrible boxer. And, he can win. Also, again, let's be honest, Jake's 6 foot some tall, 230 pounds walking around. He's going to have a size advantage. He's yet to fight anyone besides Tommy Fury, who is actually his same size. Mike Perry is legitimately, right now, at best, he's a middleweight. I mean, he told me after he weighed in and the next day when he fought Thiago Alves, he was 189 pounds. Like that's right. After gaining back the weights. So he's not that big, but here's what I think the difference is and why I think Mike Perry has a great chance to win this fight. Cause Mike Perry is going to go in there and attack him. And Mike Perry, unlike Tyron Woodley, unlike Ben Askren, unlike even Anderson Silva at 47 years old, Mike Perry's in his prime right now, 32 years old. Savage, been training nothing but stand-up for the past few years, and he was already primarily a stand-up fighter. I think Mike's got a great chance of winning this fight, and I think it's a big risk on Jake's part to take a fight against Mike Perry. This is the first time in a long time where I'm like, not only like I was at the Tyron Woodley fight here in Ohio when they did the Cleveland fight. I was legitimately curious just because I had no idea really what to expect from Jake. I'd seen him knock out Ben Askren and knock out Nate Robinson. I didn't know how good or bad he was. I knew Tyron had big knockout power, but Tyron was still a wrestler primarily. So I was infinitely curious. But everything since then, outside of a couple, I was kind of curious about Anderson because Anderson is legitimately a good boxer. But like it or not, Anderson's 47 years old, 48 now. And Tommy Fury, I didn't really care about because I don't know if anyone. I don't think I'm letting out a big secret. Tommy Fury's not good. He's a terrible boxer. No. He's not good at all. So I had very little interest in that fight. This is the first time in a while where I'm like, okay, this is interesting. It's a guy in his prime. It's a guy who hits like a truck. Yeah, I'm in. So I'm curious, and I think Mike's got. Again, like I said, I won't be shocked if Jake Paul wins, but this is actually a really interesting fight.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I've known Mike since the amateur scene here in Florida, since the regional scene here in Florida. I've announced him before. I love the success he's having in bare knuckle, that he's making life-changing money to take care of his family. He's a good dad, a good husband.
And can I make one comment? I want to say this real quick.
Absolutely.
Since we're talking. Speaking of guys you've had to report on doing bad things, Mike Perry was one of those guys. I know we all know the stories.
Yep.
I didn't really know Mike in those days. He was in the UFC at that point, but I hadn't really interviewed him, and everything I had seen of him was just like, this guy's like crazy. He's a lunatic. Like he's doing some really dumb stuff, and it's going to end badly for him, and saying things he shouldn't say, doing things he shouldn't do. And I had kind of formed an opinion about Mike. I was like, this is kind of a weird guy. Like he doesn't seem like the greatest guy. And then he got out of the UFC, got to BKFC, got married, started having kids, and now I talk to Mike regularly.
Right.
Do interviews with him all the time, message him through Instagram, whatever. I talk to him regularly, do interviews particularly regularly. One of my favorite guys in sport. He has totally turned his life around. He's funny, he's hilarious, he's got a great attitude, he's a savage in the cage or in the ring. But he's actually he's now just totally calmed down. He's a family man. He's a husband and a dad, and he loves his life. And that is so awesome to see. So there's a guy that I had to report on doing really crazy stuff early in his career. And now I would say Mike Perry is one of my favorite people to talk to in the sport. He's funny. He's a nice guy. Regardless of what he does in the ring to his opponents, he's actually a really nice guy. And one of my favorite stories in the sport because he really did turn things around. I think that's what we all kind of hope for. Yeah.
And I always told people about Mike because, again, I knew him from the regional scene. Some of it for show, some of it was, the real Mike, he's just, that's who he was at that point in his life. But I always said to people, I would let Mike babysit my grandkids. And people always used to say I was freaking crazy for that. But I knew a different side of Mike from outside, when he first, his first marriage, when he was getting engaged and they had an engagement party, my wife and I went, and Mike it was like there was two different people, but now Mike is really coming into his prime in just life, not just in fighting, but just in life. And I'm so happy for him. I'm going to give you one more thing before I let you go. And from the audience, Forrest Daniels, he said, Damon, your buddy Forrest here. He wants to know, what is the best interview you've ever had? He goes, some of your interviews and articles are legendary.
I certainly appreciate that. I don't know if I have one interview that was my favorite. I know this is going to sound dorky and funny, but probably I don't have one interview, but probably my favorite time doing interviews, and I wasn't really even doing interviews, I was just doing a podcast, was for about 2 years. I did a podcast with Matt Brown and Mark the Hammer Coleman and my buddy Jeremy Loper, who does radio in Nashville, Tennessee right now. We did a show and we actually recorded it in a studio here in Columbus, Ohio. And I was a bystander for a lot of that. I was just sitting and listening, but watching Matt Brown and Mark Coleman have conversations about fighting and listening to Mark Coleman tell me stories about pride and going down to Alabama to fight. And he told a story about being part of the Foxcatcher team, which I've known Mark Coleman for many, many years, and I had no idea he was part of the whole. When the Foxcatcher movie came out, I had no idea he was in the Foxcatcher program. Like he was around that whole thing. But just listen to him tell stories. Like Coleman's one of the best storytellers, and he could tell you stories all day. But just being in that room, and then him and Matt would argue about, like, because Coleman's 50 some odd years old, but what does he still want to fight? So they would argue and joke, and you couldn't take me down, I could take you down. Just hilarious stuff. And so I don't have one interview, but like if those episodes were some of my favorite times, because I just got to be part of something really fun, of watching those two go back and forth and argue. And we had guys like Rich Franklin came in studio with us occasionally, and guys like that. But yeah, that was just so much fun to watch those two. So I wasn't really the interviewer necessarily. I was just in the room to watch Mark Coleman and Matt Brown. And now, they're as close as friends as they could be. Mark trains at Matt's gym here in Columbus. And it's just hilarious. But being around those two guys for like 2 years straight of doing podcasts was some of the most fun I've ever had in this sport.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you were like the fly on the wall, and you got to experience some incredible stuff. Well, listen, I know you got to go because you got to go record your show. Guys, this is Damon Martin. You can follow him on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, just under the name Damon Martin, just like it's here on the screen. You can follow him on Facebook. He's on Facebook. Instagram, the same thing. His show is The Fighter versus the Writer. He also does Nerdcore Movement, I believe. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I do that. I do that. And I also have my horror movie podcast, which is my one thing I really like to plug. Rewind of the Living Dead. That's my horror movie podcast. So if you're a horror movie fan,
all that Living Dead shit.
Yeah, if you're a fan of horror movies, follow my horror movie podcast, Rewind of the Living Dead. We put out weekly episodes there as well. So I'm all over the place.
Yeah, but you're doing what you love, man, and you get to do it with fighting and the movies and the nerdcore movement. So all the continued success to you, man. Like I said, you're one of the guys I've looked up to since I got into this game, and I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the way you do it, because you do it with integrity and class, and you can't ask for more than that in the MMA media space, because there's a lot of that's lacking. So you're right up here at the top of the mountain.
I really appreciate having me on. Happy to do this anytime. And man, keep up the good work. Good chatting with you, and look forward to doing this again in the future.
All right, brother. We'll definitely do it again. Maybe in a month or so after UFC 303, and we'll get some crazy stuff from there. So listen, you have a great night, and thanks for taking the time out of your day. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Be well, Damon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was Damon Martin from MMA Fighting. What a cool dude. I could probably sit here and talk to him for 10 hours straight. He's probably has so many stories to share. He's a lot of fun. He's so knowledgeable, so respectful to the sport. Like I asked him, is it hard sometimes? Yeah, it is hard. And I'm telling you myself, it's hard sometimes to talk about some of the stuff that I got to talk about. But it's part of the gig. So, unfortunately, I got another message from Luis Antonio Pena. He's not going to make it. Like I said, he had a family emergency. So we're going to jump out. I forgot to put my banner up, so let me run this for a minute. Don't forget to follow the YouTube of Fight Bananas. Make sure you subscribe and follow all our content. Next week on my show, Monday night, K-Star Christopher James will have BKFC 150-pound champion Britton Hart. We'll have Jessica, the Black Widow, Borgia. She wants to fight Christine Faria. And this is the guy right down here that I'm looking at on the screen right now, Jeff Meyer, from Tough Enough. An amateur promotion, everything out in Vegas. And they just celebrated 30 years. 30 years of doing shows. I don't think they get enough pop and enough recognition. Him and his brother used to do it. Unfortunately, his brother passed away a few years back, and he's just carried on the company name, and he's grown it even bigger. So tough enough, to put a lot of guys into the bigger shows. And we're going to talk to him about that, how many guys he's actually done. I want to see if he keeps track. But it's, it's a couple of ladies, bare knuckle ladies. They're badass bitches. And Jeff Meyer. Like I said, don't forget, Fight Bananas. We're doing stuff every day of the week. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, Dave Van Auken has on the Fight Bananas show, Brandon Jenkins. And who the hell else is on? I don't remember who the hell else is on. I got so much running in my head. But Brandon Jenkins, he's done all kinds of great fighting all across many platforms, doing karate combat right now, doing game bred bare knuckle also. So we're going to have him on the show tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, right here on Fight Bananas on their YouTube and their Facebook pages. You can also check out Betting Bananas on Wednesday. Jillian Roberts does a show called Mike Cuddles. And that's also on Fight Bananas. We're doing Boxing Bananas on Thursdays. There's going to be a MMA recap show just on Fridays where they're just talking about all the MMA stuff. So we're trying to do something every single day of the week to bring you guys the greatest combat sports content we can. Thank you for you guys tuning in tonight. I'm sorry that we couldn't get Luis Antonio Pena, but a family emergency, family comes first. And again, I want to thank my guests tonight, Manny Correa and Damon Martin. And one more time, I just want to say that everybody here at Fight Bananas and K-Star Christopher James, sending out our condolences to Roy Jones Jr. His son DeAndre took his life over the weekend, and it's just a tragic situation, I can't even imagine what Roy's feeling right now. He's such a good dude. So, keep the Jones family in your prayers. And last week I told you guys a friend of mine passed away. He was murdered. So I just want to say, the world is going to miss Kyle Prisco. He's a good kid. We loved him to all ends. 24 years old, and then he was gunned down in broad daylight. Hard to even think about right now, without getting a tear in my eye. So I don't want to leave you guys on a sad note. Like I said, we have great shows coming up. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Dave Van Auken and Elle Dawson and Maddie Levine. Maddie Levine and Elle Dawson also are doing a show on Sunday mornings covering MMA and combat sports here on Fight Bananas. So that's it. Thank you for tuning in, sharing a little bit of time with us, and letting us share a little time with you. We appreciate it. Until next time, I am Christopher James. You've been Cage Side right here on Fight Bananas. Peace.